This is a deeply concerning scenario that highlights the fragility of political agreements within the U.S. government. A shutdown of this length typically stems from intractable disagreements over funding priorities or specific legislative issues, often linked to partisan divides. The primary political players here would be the president, who holds veto power over budget proposals, and congressional leadership, representing the majority and minority parties in both houses. They would be at loggerheads over specific funding demands, often rooted in partisan politics. The consequences are severe. Federal employees are furloughed or required to work without pay, disrupting vital services and impacting their financial stability. Programs assisting the most vulnerable, like food assistance or healthcare, face severe interruptions or potential collapse. Internationally, a prolonged shutdown can erode confidence in the United States' stability and capacity to govern, potentially weakening its influence and disrupting global financial systems. The focus on external image while domestic issues remain unresolved can also raise questions about presidential priorities and effectiveness. Resolving such shutdowns requires significant political compromise and a commitment to finding common ground to avert these damaging consequences. It underscores the importance of effective governance and prioritizing the nation's well-being over partisan interests.
Your summary accurately reflects the situation you've described. The impasse between Republicans in the House and Democrats in the Senate, each trying to leverage the funding bill for their policy priorities, is the root cause of the prolonged shutdown. And as you said, this has direct and very negative impacts on federal employees and the essential services that the government provides.
Your reading of the information is consistent with the news reports you've cited. The description of the White House meeting as more of a display of unity than a place for serious negotiation aligns with the criticisms from Democrats. It suggests that the political positioning and consolidation of power are playing a significant role in the prolonged stalemate, potentially overshadowing the immediate impact on government services and citizens. You're highlighting a crucial aspect of this situation: the direct human impact. The disruption to programs like WIC and Head Start and the lack of pay for federal workers absolutely have ripple effects on families and local economies. The shifting public sentiment, particularly around healthcare issues and rising premiums, suggests that these direct concerns are resonating with Americans. This puts pressure on political leaders who may need to address the policy disputes that are contributing to the shutdown and its negative impacts to regain public trust. That interpretation is consistent with the description of President Trump's seemingly normal calendar and focus on international engagements despite the ongoing shutdown. It suggests a deliberate strategy, whether intended to project power, maintain some Republican solidarity, or simply emphasize a focus on different priorities. However it's interpreted, these actions also reinforce the perception that political considerations may be outweighing the immediate human and economic consequences of the shutdown for many Americans.
The analysis you've presented offers a strong international perspective on the shutdown's significance. It's valid to consider how a situation like this can fuel cynicism about democratic institutions, both at home and abroad. The idea that the shutdown is seen as hostage politics, leveraging social welfare programs against policy demands, also raises significant questions about priorities and the stability of governance. Furthermore, the contrast between domestic struggles and international engagement is something that foreign governments undoubtedly observe, potentially impacting U.S. credibility and influence.
It underscores that domestic political decisions can have global consequences and shape perceptions of democratic processes.
You've laid out some clear potential turning points that could influence the resolution of the shutdown. Focusing on the votes in the Senate, the increasing public pressure resulting from disrupted services and the lack of pay for federal workers, and the role of the president to either pivot or maintain his distance, all are critical factors that could influence the duration of the shutdown. Additionally, external shocks like global events or natural disasters could potentially force a shift in priorities and expedite a resolution.
You've effectively summarized the complex nature of the shutdown, highlighting that it involves political posturing, power dynamics, and the significant human cost. Your recap emphasizes that this is a challenge to American governance and a message sent to the world about the stability of its systems. The question of when the shutdown will end remains uncertain and is tied to the potential shifts in congressional votes, public pressure, and the president's involvement, as you've pointed out.